Welcome to a new video on my channel. Hope you're doing fine. Today I want to give you an update on the earnings for the second quarter of 2022 for Lightning eMotors. And the company produced 74 vehicles and powertrains in the second quarter. However, they only sold 36 of these vehicle and powertrains due to the consumer financing delays. And they expect the remaining vehicles to be sold in the rest of the year. And depending on the size and the mixture of the composition of the vehicles and powertrains, this probably will be around 3 million of deferred revenue. They also raised prices to help offset inflation and the cost pressures resulting due to inflation, which is a positive if they don't negatively affect the revenues, and this is something to be seen in the future. They also highlight that the Collins bus partnership has been extended to include both GM and Ford chassis platforms. This is a positive sign, and also that the Type A school buses in North America are eligible for the 5 billion in funding under the EPA's Clean School Bus program. So this will be some tailwind for the future. They also highlighted the mobile battery vehicle charger, which they now are able to offer, and they also have been renting out early beta units. And the sale price is between 300 and 400k. Interesting to add it on the portfolio, I think. The company gave an update about the progress to manage supply chain constraints. First of all, the chassis. They now have commitment from GM and other OEMs to get more than 400 chassis for the rest of the year. And this will allow them to accelerate the production. At least this is what they stated in the press release. On the other hand, they also are progressing on their own Lightning e-chassis and the Bluebird e-chassis, and the vehicle testing will begin in Q1 2023 for both these chassis. Batteries, the NMC-based batteries have been increased, or the price for these have been increased rapidly. The other batteries, lithium, ferrum and phosphate batteries, have been more stable in pricing. And the last thing they gave an update about is the accessory components. They're working on supply chain diversification, as they call it, as well as vertical integration of key components, which definitely is always a good sign, especially in these actual times and recent times. They also highlighted the regulation and grants, which will most likely be positive for them in the future and will give a tailwind to the revenue. In the financial update, they showed revenue of 3.5 million. As mentioned before, revenue has been lower than if they would have sold all their produced vehicles. The net gain or net income in this case has been higher due to one-time events, and I will switch or show this later on. Cash and cash equivalent is equal to 125 million. And now let's compare the revenue forecast which they gave in the last quarter. This is further wrong side. This is the guidance they gave. They guided to a revenue between 6 and 8 million. And vehicle and powertrain systems sold between 55 to 75 million. And if we switch over to the recent quarter, as you can see over here, they produced 74, which is on the high side of the expected vehicles sold. And I think if they would have sold every vehicle, then they would have hit this target. And I think they would be also on the upper part of the guidance. Will be interesting to hear if they know what customer it is, or if it with more than one customer, so this would be interesting to see. And also then if it's possible to happen in the future again. The company also gives guidance, but not only for the next quarter, but also for the whole fiscal year. They guide to a revenue between 7 to 10 million in Q3, and they want to sell 60 to 90 vehicles. The fiscal year 2022 guidance is in revenue between 35 to 45 million, and they have only a little bit less than 9 million of revenues in the first half of 2022. So this means they have to get between 26 and 36 million of revenue in two quarters. So this will be definitely really hard, and at least with the data I have right now, I think it's hard. It's definitely very hard. However, if you keep in mind that they secured or have the commitment for around 400 of chassis, then they could, in theory, produce up to 400 vehicles, which would be almost the whole of the fiscal year 2022 guidance. So maybe this is not as unrealistic as I thought right now. And over here you see also these one-time or non-operational changes, which in this case are a gain, and therefore the numbers of the net income are not really helpful in this case. So let's jump over here to the press release, because there were some very interesting tidbits which I wanted to highlight again. As I mentioned before, the acceleration of their production in Q4. This is something I wanted to point out, and something unfortunately negative I also want to point out is this last sentence over here. They continue to invest further in their people and processes, as well as in potential strategic investments and acquisitions. And as such, while we believe they have sufficient cash to fund our operations for the next year, we are exploring ways to raise more capital to fund critical investments. So on one hand, they only say cash is enough for the next year, at least for the operation. Nevertheless, they are more likely to raise more capital, which then leads to dilution. So this is something, I think is really important to have a look at for these companies in this stage where there's a lot of growth. However, they are still unprofitable, and I'm afraid that this will be one of the companies which will raise more capital in the near future. And I think this is most of it. So the results were mixed. Not really sure if it's that bad. However, the revenue is still really low, and I think it's hard for them to scale up. And as with Butera and all the others, the most important part right now, in my opinion, is to scale up. So this will be crucial, and the supply chain issues right now are a constraint to this scale up. So I would still most likely follow up in the next quarter and see and decide if I will still cover this company in the future or not. So I hope you liked the video, and until next time, have a good day. Bye bye.